Wow. We just got big news that Bungie has laid off 17% of its workforce. This equates to around 220 people. Shocking news on the heels of Destiny's latest DLC, The Final Shape, which saw massive success and accolades. Bungie puts out a letter explaining the move, and the letter is telling. It references the synergies, restructuring, and more integration with Sony. That last part is very, very interesting. It's no secret that Sony was not pleased with their massive target miss in 2023. This saw the company, Bungie, only reach 50% of its projected revenue goals. So what is going on here? Has Sony laid the official smackdown on Bungie? We tackle all this in the next installment of The Spill, our gaming hot topic video series. Let's get into this one right now. What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up, people? It is your boy, MM2K of Geeks, Cloud Dosage, Hard Knock Digital Culture. In here, MM2K Gaming back again with another episode of The Spill. This is where we talk about the latest hot button topic in the world of gaming. And oh my gosh, do we not have a big one for you today? I mean, I was totally working on something different. You know what I'm saying? And we'll bring that out for you guys tomorrow. And I think the members will get a sneak peek at it first, but I was not expecting this at all. This is huge. What am I talking about? Well, today's video is huge Bungie shakeup. See, Sony steps in with force. Yeah, this is one of those MM2K rants that might be epic. Let's see how I feel. Let's see how I gel into this one. But before we go any further, do us a huge favor, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and rock those bells for notifications, please, so you know when we're dropping these doses. Okay, in order for me to break this down in a way that I think covers this from 5,000 feet without taking all day to do so, I first want to talk about the story, the history, and, you know, the dissatisfaction that was clear, which was paramount from Sony and Horoki to Totoki. And then once we jump from there, I want to talk about what likely caused this based upon all those events. And then lastly, we'll go to our closing. But first, let me do this. Let's go to the summary of the story. This is a letter, quote unquote, from Pete Parsons. I'm just going to read you the first part because later in this video, we're going to like really parse down everything that's happened with GameIndustry.biz's article, which I think really parses this very well. So Pete Parsons says, look, this morning I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions. It has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. Wow. Now, for those of you that don't understand why all this is happening, let's run you down through the history here. All right. So as we all know, Destiny developer Bungie was purchased by Sony, I believe in 2022, for a whopping $3.6 billion. That's a lot of money for Sony. It's, again, Sony's not Microsoft. They don't have all this infinite, treasure trove of cash like they do. They're a smaller company, smaller market cap, but they're not poor. But 3.6 billion for a video game studio, that was huge for them, right? And it seemed like or Bungie's purpose rather was they were going to do oversight on the games as a service standards. You got to remember, because of the aforementioned APK, that sent Sony into a frenzy because they're like, hold on, we could be losing Call of Duty, we could be losing Overwatch, and that's why I think we're seeing Concord being pushed out there. But we've talked about that in various other videos. But there was a panic at Sony. They lost what I think it was it 20 billion in stock valuation. They lost that overnight just at the announcement of the APK deal. So it was paramount for Sony to figure out a counter move to deal with the potential losses in these major games as a service, that would impact the company's bottom line. Part of that strategy was, Bungie doing oversight, not just Sony reaping the rewards of Destiny and Destiny DLC and stuff like that, but the bigger purpose was, a big purpose along that was Bungie to sit alongside SIE and look at their games as a service attempts and give some oversight and give some much needed help on these games, right? And so that part seemed to be, making its moves and all that stuff. But the other equally important part, which was revenue from Destiny, was falling apart. Like we saw, according to this article right here, we saw that Destiny 2 is missing Bungie's revenue targets by nearly 50%. Destiny 2 is missing Bungie's annual revenue targets by nearly 50%, leading to layoffs of around 100 developers that include some 20-year Bungie veterans. And this is coming courtesy of Tweaktown, where the story says, according to a new report from Bloomberg, Bungie has laid off around 8% of its staff, or 100 people. There's multiple reasons for this decision, including the current inflation-driven economic environment, but the chief reason may be related to Destiny 2's performance. The badly received Destiny 2 Lightfall expansion has had a cascading effect on Bungie's business, especially as more hit games released throughout 2023. And the negative segment around Lightfall has led to a drop of Destiny 2's player count. Revenues are also on track to miss Bungie's internal projections by 45%. That's a big problem for Bungie, who relies on Destiny 2's recurring microtransaction revenues to maintain course as it develops new expansions for the live game. And if that's a pain piece for Destiny, then that's a sore spot for Sony, again, who just spent $3.6 billion for the company. So that has led to this. Not that ad from PC Gamer, but this article from PC Gamer that reads, Sony isn't happy with Bungie. PlayStation boss wants more accountability from the studio on money and deadlines. SIE chairman Horoki Totoki said that during the company's recent earnings call that everyone needs to get on the same page. Now, Horoki had brought up that some of overall at SIE, that some of the employees may not necessarily understand how the respective efforts, quote, tie into the overall growth, sustainable profit generation, and higher margins. But when it got to Bungie, this is what he had to say when it came to Bungie. He said, I visited Bungie Studios and I had meetings with the management team. Now, this is in February of 2024. He's making this comment. And I saw that employees were working at the studios. The employees that were working there were highly motivated, showing great creativity as well as an impressive knowledge of live services, he said. However, I also felt that there was room for improvement from a business perspective with regarding to areas such as the use of business expenses and assuming accountability for development timelines. I hope to continue the dialogue and come up with some good solutions. And PC Gamer even says here, the writer of this article says, I'm not an investment analyst, but I know a veiled threat when I see one. And we know it too. And guess what that led to? That led to today. The story, as laid out from GameIndustry.business, Bungie lays off an additional 220 staff from last year. Today, they're laying off 220 staff, acknowledging it was overly ambitious. 155 people also moved to SIE, with another 75 again are moved to work with PlayStation Studios. So you're seeing not only layoffs, but you're seeing some crazy integration. Let's go through this story real quick, and so we can talk about on the back end. Bungie is laying off 220 developers. That's 17% of its overall headcount. Bungie boss Pete Parsons says that the cuts are needed to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. This morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio, Parson wrote in a statement posted to the studio's official website. Due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions, it has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. We read that earlier off the Twitter post. These actions will affect every level of the company, including most of our executive and senior leader roles, Parsons added. So they're not just going to chop you down at the knees, they're chopping at the top too. Today is a difficult and painful day, especially for our departing colleagues, all of which have made important and valuable contributions to Bungie. Our goal is to support them with the utmost care and respect. For everyone affected by this job reduction, we will be offering generous exit packages, including severance bonus and health coverage, the statement continued. I realize all of this is hard news, especially following the success that we've had with the final shape, but as we've navigated the broader economic realities of over the last year, and after exhausting all our mitigation options, this has become a necessary decision to refocus our studio and our business with more realistic and viable financials. Parsons added that as of today, an additional 155 roles are moving into Sony Interactive Entertainment. That's around 12% of our staff to deepen Bungie's integration with Sony. And then another 75 people are going to move into work with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out on our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio with PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. SIE has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many of our people as possible, enabling us to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in forces, Parsons said. I think we'll stop right there. Okay. So let's go to part 2 of this, or part 3, however you want to look at it. What likely happened? First and foremost, Horoki Totoki, head of SIE, and still, I believe he's still the chief financial officer for Sony altogether. We read his comments. They were blunt. They weren't, demeaning, but they were blunt. And they were a veiled threat. And he said that inaction was taken, right? It has been said for years that Bungie has a problem with sustainability. I know a lot of us do not like Activision Blizzard, right? We don't care for them. And I understand it, because I don't care for them either. They're as slimy as slimy can get. That being said, they even did them wrong. How do you do someone slimy wrong? They didn't live up to the standards of their deals. They didn't sustain their parts of the deal. And they actually just fleeced Activision Blizzard and bounced, right? And then they get into a deal with Sony. Sony sees a need, they see a need. And again, they're not living up to their potential of the deal, but Sony's like, nah, no, we've seen this story before. You are not going to fall short 45 to 50% of your revenue goals and then just roll on us. Oh no. So they wrote, just like how Activision did, they wrote in stipulations, right, that they need to do certain things if they don't want SIE taking over Bungie in totality, because they're working in tandem in so many ways, even though they're owned by Sony. This time, unlike Activision Blizzard, instead of just making a veiled threat, if you don't hit a specific number, then we're going to do this. Sony said no. In advance to us doing a possible takeover, we're going to start converting now. We want to show you that we mean business. We're not playing with you. And therefore, they've stepped in. Horoki Totoki is not playing. So that veiled threat, he is fully enacting. The restructuring. Look, they've even before the takeover. Now, there could be a takeover happening. Let me be very clear. It doesn't look like it because I don't see any indications of a serious restructuring of that deal and them being absorbed happening. But if a takeover is happening, wow, all this, that even cements this even further. But even if a takeover isn't happening, that's more eye-opening. They're not playing. They're setting the groundwork for a takeover, which is even more jarring, right? And they've made cuts at the executive level. Because here's the thing, when it comes to Japanese business culture, it's very paramount within their culture that Leadership transitions have to happen when there are failures. They're not the type that go and blame their employees first. Like out west, we blame our employees first and then we want to make procedure changes. They don't do that in Japan. Leadership always has to fall on the sword first, right? And then lastly, the fusion of the game studios. Like I think it's an awesome notion that out of all of this unfortunate circumstances with layoffs and stuff like that, that they saw some stuff that was just quote unquote incubating at Bungie and was like, what are you doing with this? Nothing? Because you can't manage yourself? We'll help you. Come with us, give us some people permanently. So they did. So there's some people that could have been terminated as well or laid off as well. That they said, no. So instead of it being 220 people, it could have been 370. But they said, no, give us 150 of those people. We're going to create a new studio. And then you're going to lend us 75 people to help with this project. That's why I don't think a full takeover happened, because they would have just took over Bungie and just said, okay, this section is going to work on this and this section is going to work on that. They said, no, give us 150 people, 75 people we will utilize in like the oversight process, right? So they can familiarize us with this, because this looks promising and there's no way you should be sitting on this. Here's my closing. This is huge news, and hopefully without sounding too dismissive of the jobs laws, in my opinion, this is huge news in a needed way for Sony, Bungie, and PlayStation. Look, fact of the matter is, enough evidence out there to show this. Bungie has run amok with the purse strings and deals since the departure from Microsoft. And as slimy as Activision is, they still use the hell out of them. Wow, that says a lot about you if you can get slimier than the slimiest people out there. It looks like they thought it would be rinse and repeat with Sony. But here's the thing. Like we said earlier, Sony paid a whopping $3.6 billion for Bungie. Even though that's dwarfed by the APK deal, which was around 70 to 75 billion, right? After everything is said and done, that's still a lot of cheese for a company with the market cap of Sony. So simply sitting there alongside Jim Ryan and telling Naughty Dog, you don't know what you're getting into with factions, you might want to rethink this, or one good DLC isn't good enough. This deal needs to pay off. It needs to pay off for gamers, which will then pay off for Sony. And I'm glad to see the recognition of that and the shrewd action to back it up. Clearly the best thing to come out of PlayStation's future-proofing news all year in 2024. Because we're getting a new game, we're getting a new studio, and we're finally seeing Bungie guardrailed and managed the way that they needed to be managed instead of running amok. I think this is positive news despite the layoffs. And that's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below, because like I always say, I'm curious what I think. But if you did like what I had to say, check out the links below the following. They will lead you to Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, and here MM2K Gaming. Until next time, have a wonderful gaming day. Peace. All right, we're about to go live. What's up, people? What's up, people? What is up, people? It is your boy MM2K. I'm here with Cold Blood Sensei, and we're back again with another episode of In a Row Mic Check. It's been a long time. The news has been, very thin, but not today. Oh, not today. What's going on, everybody? Good to see y'all. Good to see the people in the chat. Yo, 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 yo. Let me go to my social tab. Oh, man, we got Soldier for Life 504. Says, what's up, MM2K? Says, I hope some of them developers go to the Last of Us Factions project. I think that's dead in the water, bro. But if this would have happened earlier, maybe so. Smike says, finally they did it. We got Dr. Killshiny out. He says, yo, what's up? What it do, MM2K? Looking forward to seeing what comes out of the new spin-off studio. Yes. Yes. I'm here with Cold Blood. Cold Blood, how you doing today, man? How's everything going for you, good brother?
For me, everything is fine, but not for Bungie, bro.
They're shaking in their boots right now. They're shaking in their Destiny boots. And I think they should, but we'll get into all that. You guys saw the video, saw my thoughts. And as always, when you join us live, you will get access to the spiel. That's where I do like snippet video. I kind of condense what we're going to talk about here and just give my opinion, but the bigger, broader, the more kaboom presentation of it is always the podcast. So make sure you join us here. You know what I'm saying? It's usually around 2. This time we ran a little bit later because this news just hit at the last minute. You know what I'm saying? But between 2:15 p.m. normally, and we do like a 2-hour session and we talk about everything in the world of gaming. All right. As a reminder, before we go head deep, you already heard me rant about 18 minutes about what I think. We're going to get into what Cold Blood thinks about all this in a little bit. But before we do all that, I want to remind you guys, today is the last day for any of the monthly goals that we have. So granted, I mean, you guys killed it this month, right? We got to level 4 on the weekly goal about a couple of weeks ago. So y'all had me play I Am Fish. I hate that fucking game. I just wanted to let you know that. The hell with you, Sean. I hope someone puts antifreeze in your coffee. No, I'm just joking. No. Please don't take me serious here. But I can't stand you, Sean. I don't like you anymore. That was the worst fucking game, but the most hilarious choice for y'all. And I had to play that for 6 hours. So we do stuff like that when you guys go up levels on these member goals. You guys killed the weekly goal a couple of weeks ago. We couldn't do no more. Y'all maxed it out at level 4. We got to level 2 on the bi-weekly goal, which was 35 members. Y'all crushed that, and we almost got to level 3 there. But so we're going to be doing a $25 gift card giveaway at the end of on Friday. And the monthly goal we're going to be doing, let's see here, level 2 member goal. For us to reach level 2, to take that to, we already met level 1's member goal, which was 50. So there's going to be another $25 giveaway too for the month of July. If y'all wanted to be a $50 giveaway, which would give our entire month giveaways to $75. If you wanted to reach 50, we got to get up to 100, which means you only got a few more hours left to get our member goal up to 100, which we're at 67, I believe. Where we at? No, we're at 66, as you can see there on the bar, but just I wanted to point that out there for you guys. And everything officially resets for the monthly goal tomorrow. All right, so just wanted to put that out there. All right, y'all. Yeah, crazy stuff happening. We got Microsoft bend the knee to Bungie. Activision bend the knee. Sony did a hostile takeover. Says Soldiers for Life at 504. Hey, I'm okay apart from my arthritis hurting in my lower back. Hey, Ice Queen Gaming, did you try them pineapples? Give them pineapples a shot, but we hope that arthritis clears up. I suffer from arthritis. I eat pineapples all the time. All right. With that said, let's get into it. Let's talk about it. As y'all heard in the bumper, let's go to the story real quick, and then we'll let Cold Blood chime in on it because y'all heard me long enough. The new path for Bungie. I'll just read the first part of it. This morning, I'm sharing with all of you some of the most difficult changes we've ever had to make as a studio due to rising costs of development and industry shifts, as well as enduring economic conditions. It has become clear that we need to make substantial changes to our cost structure and focus development efforts entirely on Destiny and Marathon. That means beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. Now, what does this have to do with you, the gamer, as far as your gamer news IQ? Well, there's a couple of key things that are happening that we talked about in that video. Number one is the layoffs. The layoffs are sad. We don't like to see them. You know what I'm saying? It's always bad to see that. And I especially feel some type of way after an acquisition, but this acquisition was kind of different. Also, They didn't just chop people off at the lower end. They didn't just make employees play. I allude to this in the video. Here out in the West, and I know this because I've had to do this from experience, whenever a company fucks up, the lower end employees have to pay first. They start laying off the people that have nothing to do with the decisions made, and they'll go and they'll look at their procedures. And they'll try to revamp their procedures. And the people at the top, they still get their bonuses. You know, they're still eating their caviar and all the other shit. And they're blaming the low end employees. They had to deal with that all the time. Japan is different. Japan totally goes by the analogy of fish rots at the head. Meaning, if our company's fucking up, it has to deal with our leadership. So they purge the leadership first, which I think is the way to go. And so they fucking gutted, from what this sounds like, they gutted a lot of the Bungie executives, which was, I mean, from people that got horror stories dealing with Bungie, that kudos to them for that shit, right? And the final part, the part that got me like, ooh, is this fusion that they're doing with SIE. This is why I say in my video, I know people are saying Sony took over. They didn't take over yet, as it appears. Because if they would have took over, then they wouldn't be giving some employees to SIE and having some counseling SIE on this apparent new action game. Like, they made a new studio. Why does Bungie make a new SIE studio just off this singular game if they're taking over SIE? I think what happened is they're just laying the groundwork and saying to SIE, we're not fucking with you anymore. Like, we're not playing with you anymore. You are going to give us what we want, which is more sustainability, better operations, and better output, or are we going to take over, right? So the new studio was built. And this is the cool thing about this, y'all, which I don't think is getting enough press, but we're going to cover it here because we do our homework. There was 220 people laid off, which is a lot. But Sony saved 155 of those jobs to build this new studio. So Sony was able to evaluate and look at the talent at Bungie and say, like Totoki said in February, these people are highly motivated. It's just the leadership is dog shit. And you guys got this game that you're sitting on. Why the fuck are you sitting on this game? So they're taking the game, they're taking 155 Bungie people, and they're doing the atypical Sony thing. Like, we see promise here. We're gonna make this work. So there really was supposed to be 375 people laid off. You hear that? Nice round number. 370 was supposed to be 375 people laid off. And Bungie probably just said, you know what? Rather than we give you anything, PlayStation, we're just going to lay off 375 people so we can meet our financial needs. And I bet you what Sony did is they said, no. You guys just fucking suck as a leadership team. Cut a lot of them motherfuckers and give us 155 of those people. We can do something with these motherfuckers. And they saved 155 jobs. This may seem like a low blow, but this is why I like Sony. That's why I put them up there as one of the best companies out there. Are they perfect? Fuck no. They got some dog shit they got to deal with. But you don't see no shit like this at Microsoft. Oh, that's a low blow. That's the truth of the matter. When you're looking at this from 5,000 feet, this is why I jump on Microsoft as much as I do. And that's why at times when they deserve it, I praise Sony. They saved 155 fucking jobs when Bungie just wanted to axe those jobs to keep their independence. And they said, no, you'll keep your independence, but we're gonna lay the groundwork for this transition. Because if you guys don't get it together, we're just flipping the switch and we're taking over. And I think Bungie now knows that they mean business. So as much as I hate to see those 220 people go, this restructuring, in my opinion, was much needed. And I like the fact that there's a new studio built from it. I love the fact that Sony saved jobs. They look like they're going to build something from this. They're going to take over from their poor management and actually make something fruitful, possibly, hopefully. And they're sending a signal to Bungie. We're not playing with you. You're not going to play us. So we're setting the groundwork. We're going to have 75 consultants from your team that are going to school us on whatever this project is, and among other things. And the next step is a full takeover. So those are my thoughts. Opposite of the 220 people that had to leave, I love the move. Opposite of that, I don't want to, that's my thoughts. Now we're going to turn over to Cold Blood. Shut the fuck up. So I'm going to turn over to Cold Blood. Cold Blood, what are your thoughts on this move? Do you love it as much as I do, or is there a bigger picture that I'm not seeing here? What do you think?
Is it going to benefit Bungie?
I mean, I think anytime you got Sony involved to do oversight, it could benefit Bungie. They're making better shit and it'll sell better, but opposite of that, no.
Because
go ahead.
I am a fan of them stopping this whole live service shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if this new studio that they got planned is gonna do another fucking game like that, bruh, nah. Then it would have been better if they just let Bungie do their fucking thing. But if they're doing a single player game with some co-op elements, bro, I'd be so fucking glad. Like, I don't care if people lost their job. It's for the better good then.
We'll find out.
But I mean, I'm not a fan of shit. Just being done because not enough money. I'm not a fan of that at all. Like, some games, they might have not done a lot of money, but they're fucking great. But in Bungie's case right now, I mean, it's kind of deserved.
Yeah. Excuse me. No, I was just finding the part about the game.
How long can you make fucking expansions for Destiny and hope that people keep buying this shit?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that you're still getting 90s and stuff on Metacritic, but that almost never translates to actual sales. Like, Alan Wake 2 got a good score, and ain't no fucking way this game was successful.
Yeah.
It wasn't even in the top charts, I think.
No, it's
like, yeah. Great if it leads to better games from them. Very bad if Bungie drops off now. That'd be hella bad. Because Sony was of the opinion that they had to disrupt their work. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, I'm no fucking expert on shit like layoffs and stuff. That's more your thing, you know.
Let's see what some of the chat is saying here, because they're busy about this. This is I feel sorry for them people who lost their jobs, but it's nice to see Sony make a new studio out of all this. Yeah, I think that's not getting enough.
Absolutely not. Why? Because Sony bad. Always. Sony's always bad.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot give Sony any credit ever.
Any credit. Yeah.
Because if you do, all these motherfuckers are coming out of the fucking closet. I'm telling you. Those PC dudes, bro, they're the first to tell you how wrong you are.
Yeah. That's not. I think that's the bigger story. Like Bungie getting cleaned up. I mean, that's not rocket science. Like everybody knew that. I just think that the only reason why Activision didn't do it is because they were doing so much shady shit behind the scenes. They were like, you know what? We don't need any more spotlight. We're already like embezzling money, selling body parts on the black market. No telling what they were doing in the basements of Activision. They're like, we don't need any more attention on us. So, okay, we're just going to give you a number, Bungie. And if you don't meet the number, then we're going to take over. And then at the end of it, they just dissolved their business with them. They said, well, fuck it. We don't even want to, because if we touch this and then you Destiny sicko fans get upset with us and there's more spotlight on us, oh my, and then SEC and regulators come in, we're fucked. You're going to see all the body parts and all the stolen goods, all the kilos of cocaine or whatever the fuck they got going on. Activision, they just remind me of that. Like they'd have some of the most foul shit happening over at Activision, in the basement. So they got lucky with Activision. I think Bungie got cocky and said, okay, we used them and now we're going to use Sony. And Sony is a well-oiled machine. Is it perfect? No, but they're a very well-oiled machine. They can make critical changes at the leadership level and keep on ticking for the most part. And they looked over at Bungie and they're like, you guys are kind of fucked up. Like, wow, we didn't realize you guys are this fucked up. Like, okay, well, we see where we got to make some efficiencies. And look, where's that article at? Here it goes, right here. Horoki Totoki, which you guys know, Horoki Totoki is not my favorite person, but he's good at his role, which is the CFO role. I think he's good there. I just don't think that his lack of experience in gaming is great for gaming or good for SIE in some parts, right? Like I'm fearful of his integration and his move to be putting shit on PC and how fast he's going to do it. That being said, Totoki says, as far as the SIE people in general, says, employees have a solid understanding of their individual roles and responsibilities, but don't necessarily understand how their respective efforts tie into the overall growth, sustainable profit generation, higher margins. That shit made me nervous in regards to legacy SIE. But I think this really applies to Bungie. But what more applies to Bungie, which I think he was spot on in, is where he said this. He said, I visited the Bungie studios. I had meetings with the management, and I saw that the employees working at the studios were highly motivated, showing great creativity as well as an impressive knowledge of live services. However, I also felt that there was room for improvement from a business perspective. When somebody come and says there's room for improvement from a business perspective, they're not talking to the employees, they're talking to the management because they make the business decisions with regards as to how areas such as the use of business expenses. Again, that's management. And assuming accountability for development timelines. Again, that's management. I hope to continue the dialogue and come up with a good solution. So he says, look, these are motivated, highly motivated people, and they're showing great creativity. That's what PlayStation is all about. That's why we get the bangers. So he's like, at least he has the foresight to say, look, these people are cut of our ilk, but the management around them sucks. So that creativity and that motivation ain't producing nothing any fucking good. And that's why I think 155 people were saved. Like, do you understand what's going on here? Sony saved 155 people. Bungie's answer to Sony closing in on them and saying, you guys are fucking up, you're getting close to a takeover. Their answer was just to hold almost 400 people over a ledge and say, look, we'll dump them off and we'll save even more money. And Sony very easily could have said, okay, let's try that out. Instead, Sony said, no. You're not dumping this on the people. You're fucked up. You got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of her. You got to get rid. Hold on, those are executives. That's our C-suite. Yes, get rid of them. You got to get rid of. All right, don't interrupt me again. You got to get rid of her. You got to get rid of him. And of those almost 400 people that you want to get rid of, okay, maybe 220 of them, they're extra weight. They're people that are not going to sustain Destiny and make it any better. There are not people that are going to make Marathon any better. And they're dead weight, unfortunately. I think Bungie had signed a deal with a Chinese company. Well, I don't know if it was Tencent or somebody, and they were supposed to make a game for them. And maybe Sony just stepped in and said, no, they're not making that game anymore. Sorry. Maybe they canceled that deal. Got to give them the money back. I don't know. That being said, Sony said, okay, 220 of these people we agree with, but almost half of these people, they don't need to go anywhere. You're just fucked up. Let's do this. You give us this 150 and we're going to use them for a new studio centered around this game that you're sitting on. But because you're so poorly managed, you don't know what to do. And give us an additional 75 that really you don't need. We feel like you don't need an additional 75. Give us those 75. They're going to be consultants with us. And then you, the rest of you motherfuckers, you double down on Destiny. Keep doing what you did with this last DLC until that comes to an end. Keep doing what you did with Final Shape until Destiny 2 gets sunset. And y'all double down on Marathon. I think was there a better way to handle this? I couldn't think of it. I couldn't think of it. And I still get heartache or heartburn from Horoki Totoki. But I think the way that he handled Bungie was wonderful. That's just me. That's just my opinion. Smike says Xbox fans are in meltdown. Surprise, y'all. T. That's a shot at you, Cold Blood. T. Harris says, surprise, y'all not blaming Herman Holst. He's taking shots. God damn. Well, what's wrong, T. Harris? I haven't been on Destiny 2 for a while, says Ice Queen Gaming now, but may go back to. Yeah. Hey, Ice Queen, isn't that odd? Like when I heard this news, it made me want to get on Destiny and shit. I ain't been on Destiny in years. I ain't played a game of Destiny in almost like 2 years. Made me want to get on that Destiny shit. King of the Vanguard says, Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, cited the need to ensure the organization is future ready in a rapidly changing industry as a key reason for these layoffs. I don't know if this is recent, but what I don't know if that the statement from Jim Ryan is recent. I think that's from 2023 because they laid off 100 people in 2023. But yeah, Totoki definitely saw some stuff that needed to be enhanced. Cold Blood. So 155 people are coming over to build this new studio. We saw somebody in the chat suggest or hope
double A with AAA polish.
So you want Matt Booty to head this studio? You want Matt Booty to come over and head this studio?
Yeah, he's gonna stink up the place, bro.
They say here that it's a second we're working with PlayStation leadership to spin out an incubation project, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe to form a new studio with play. So, you know, like hopefully, like you said, it's a co-op game. Hopefully it's a co-op game. I wonder who's going to head this studio. I'm very interested to see more about this. And they said that the game was in an incubation state, meaning, hold on. Yeah. Let me see. Hold on one second, y'all. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. Let me do this right here. All right, there we go. Oh shit, my phone. I messed up my phone. Okay, gotta watch how I put my phone down. All right, so yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I think that's cool. I mean, that they're going to do that, and I'm hoping that based upon the response that or the lack of response that Concord is getting, that maybe Sony knows that, okay, if this game is going to have like online multiplayer, even games as a service elements, that it's co-op. At the very least, there's a campaign. It has co-op in it. You know what I'm saying? It's not Concord. We can't have repeats of Concord. Like, you already got Jade Raymond and her Fair Games shit that looks like, you know, that's gonna be, you know, some PvP shit.
What? You know, you're not excited for this?
No. No, you talking about Jade Raymond's game? No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not at all.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Shame on me.
You're misogynist.
Shame on me. I don't that if it got PvE, and even if it got PvE elements, I mean, like, I don't play what's that fucking game that Fear Games kind of looks like, Paid or whatever it's called, where you're robbing the banks or some shit. I don't play that game. Payday, yeah. I don't, and that doesn't entertain me in the slightest. I've played it. I've tried it out. I played Payday 1. Whatever, right? But yeah, hopefully this is a robust action game. If there is like an online multiplayer element, or even a touch of games as a service, like, I don't care as long as there's a campaign to it. You know, as long as there's single player elements and there's PvE. That's why I liked Destiny, but Destiny has just gotten so out of control. I can't even fuck with Destiny anymore. Ron Slusher says Payday and candy bars are yummy. Yeah, I don't mess with PvE. I mean, I don't mess with PvP all like that. I mean, you can have some PvP, that's like expansive and fun, and you know what I'm saying, and just feels like large and entity. Like I will give Destiny's PvP credit. It just wasn't for me. But it's big, and you know, you're riding the vehicles at times and shit like that and doing different things. I mean, that's cool. It just wasn't for me. So yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta have that. You gotta have PvE. Gotta have campaign. Then you have a good start. But we'll see what they make, and maybe we'll get a better. Maybe there'll be better integration, because people are questioning Cold Blood. They're like, all right, you had Bungie like sitting next to you as, you know, people were bringing these games as a service IPs in front of Jim Ryan and Bungie shooting it down. Like, but was Bungie shooting it down because they didn't want no competitor to Destiny? Or were they really giving like great insight? Like, I think permanently having liaisons, these 75 people, and this is why I read the GameIndustry.biz article, because Pete doesn't even say anything about this in his letter. This comes courtesy, I guess, of a conversation that GameIndustry.biz had with them. That's why I like that website. So to have 75 permanent liaisons over at Bungie that specialize in, you know, service types of games, or the types of games that they're making, you know, and those people can permanently consult or help out or even co-develop shit that Sony's trying to do. You know, me personally, here's my thoughts. I particularly don't mind even though it's not for me, I don't mind Sony doing games as a service. I don't mind it. Here's the caveat. Don't take your single player talent and make them do it. Get new studios to do this shit. If there's going to be games as a service elements, like a Factions 2, like somebody in the chat said, I hope this will help Factions 2. Like, that would be cool, but I don't know. I mean, I think that project has been totally iced, and I don't think Naughty Dog, the way that letter came off to me, I don't think Naughty Dog even wants to see that thing again. So Naughty Dog would have to get involved with it because it's in the Last of Us universe. Now, someone could take the skeletal remains of that and build something around it, and it's not going to look like Last of Us. But yeah, I don't think Naughty Dog want anything to do with that game anymore, right? But yeah, if Bungie is going to create, if they're going to have this team of 75 people that are liaisons to add games as a service modes on top of already single player narrative, then that's fine. I don't care. Just don't use your single player development talent to waste time on games as a service when that's not their specialty. And I hear the argument all the time, well, Rockstar can do it. Rockstar employs thousands of people when they make these games. People don't see their families for centuries and shit. You know what I'm saying? They go into this serious crunch where when we were talking about God of War 2018, Sony was trying to lean away from that. They don't want people to burn out so much. I mean, there's only so much crunch you can avoid, but still, they don't want to just lean on crunch. They don't want to become like a Rockstar or a what do you call it? A Fortnite, an Epic, where you're basically just you're just living off of one game at a time. Sony has multiple studios. Their studios work on multiple projects at a time. So yeah, so for as great and as impactful as Grand Theft Auto is, that's because they're only doing a game here, a game there, a game here, a game there. Where Sony is trying to build a catalog. They use their exclusive content. They want the exclusive content to be great, but they're trying to supplement a catalog. They're not just trying to get revenue off their games. They're trying to build up a catalog because they want you to buy their console. You got to remember that. So because Sony wants you to do that, it's important that that they have multiple studios working on different things and they can't do what Rockstar does. I hear that a lot. Well, why can't they? Well, this may be this 75 group of people. This is opposite of the 155 that are going to build this new studio. They have 75 liaisons that are going to work closely with SIE, likely on games as a service titles. That part is, I think, cool. So that way, think of G-Lock. You guys probably aren't familiar with G-Lock. There's G-Lock, and then there's these other like third-party developers that, or was it Nixus that does porting to PC? You know, you as the main studio, you get to work on the shit that you normally work on, right? But then these third-party studios come in and they help you on specialized shit, and you ain't gotta worry about it. And I think that's where these 75, and I think that's a smart idea too. And who knows? These 75 people, Bungie probably wanted to get rid of those motherfuckers too. They probably wanted to get rid of their asses too. Shit's crazy. So, but yeah, me personally, I think it's cool. So, yep. I'm just reading something on the internet. It says, form a new studio within PlayStation Studios. Make sure that Marathon and those future IPs are exclusives. New state. I don't. Simpleton, I don't know if you're watching. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. You gotta let me know. I saw your post out there on Twitter. I'm not sure what you're referring to. So yeah, man. I think crazy stuff coming out of Bungie today. Let's do a poll. And let's see what people think about this. Let's see, start a poll.
G. Harris, wait till Concord comes out, then I'm gonna blame Herman Holtz.
Question. Let's see. Opposite of the layoffs. You see news, positive, negative, for Sony/PlayStation's positive. So let us know what you think. What are your thoughts on this news? Do you see this as how come I can't start the poll? The poll. Okay. Opposite of layoffs. Do you see what's Sony put PS. Also put Sony SIE future. Okay, so we got positive, negative, or neither. Let us know what you think, how this will play with you in regards to their future. Let me see what else here we got in the comments section. Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony Interactive. No, I read that. Microsoft and Riot Games also announcing significant job cuts recently. Yeah, it's not so much about the job cuts, King of the Vanguard. It's, you know what I mean? This is different. Bungie is trying to stop a Sony takeover. They don't want that at all. And they realize that they're not going to get away with their shenanigans this time like they did with Activision. They're not too big enough to be broken up. They don't, you know, Sony's not going to play that game with them. Even though Destiny has been a pillar of gaming, just off of its past, it's been a pillar brand in gaming. Sony don't give a fuck. We paid $3.6 billion for y'all. Y'all have to produce. So because of that, and the fact that they only met half of their projected revenue goals, that's fucking crazy. Sony's like, we're getting closer to where we might just have to take you over. And what Bungie is trying to do is they're trying to avoid that. So for all intents and purposes, what likely happened is Bungie stepped in. I mean, Bungie said, we're just gonna do the easy thing. We're gonna do what we normally do out west. We're just gonna lay people off. And Sony said, no, laying people off, laying employees off based off your piss poor management decisions, that's not gonna work. Here's what you are gonna do though. And if you do this, then we'll back off a little bit. We'll back off and there won't be an immediate takeover. But you got to do this. And I think that was smart. Because Bungie's out of control. We've heard so many. If you've been paying attention to the inner workings of gaming and stuff like that, there's a lot of horror stories out there about Bungie. About them, like literally when it comes to Destiny, you know, creators that wanted to just give reasonable feedback, them chopping them off at the knees, them actually hiring, quote unquote, hiring people to in the journal space, hiring people to do hit pieces on creators. It's crazy. It kind of reminds me of when we were remember when Borderlands 3 or something, something with Borderlands was happening. I think it was Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 was set to release, right? Or it was set to be announced. And there was a bunch of shit going on. I think what's that game that what's that dude's name? The maker of Borderlands. I can't believe that I'm forgetting his name because that used to be my homie when the first game came out. The fuck is creator of Borderlands series. Let me put his name. Creator.
Randy Pitchford?
Randy Pitchford. Okay. When Randy Pitchford, whatever that game was that he had that was supposed to compete with when Battleborn was out there, remember it, and it failed miserably, and they were selling it for $5 in Family Dollars and in dollar stores and shit like that. And so then people were really doubting the power of Randy Pitchford. They were like, Randy Pitchford, like how people are doubting Todd Howard right now. They were starting to doubt Randy Pitchford. And they were like, has this dude lost his magic? So then you started having a lot of creators that were talking shit on like Borderlands and a lot of Gearbox property. So Take-Two is reported that Take-Two sent two mysterious motherfuckers dressed in black suits, like the Men in Black, to a content creator's house. It was asking him a whole bunch of questions. I remember because I did a video on it. And they sent a motherfucker in black, dressed in all black and shit, like it was Will Smith and what's his face, Tommy Lee Jones. Sent him to this motherfucker's house and interrogated him about why he was saying, and it wasn't no law enforcement or anything. It was to take two employees, reportedly, that came to this dude's house and was interrogating him. That gives me those type of vibes when I hear about some of the shit that Bungie has been involved with as far as intimidation is concerned. Then there's people that routinely here and there give horror stories just working for Bungie. So yeah, I don't put a lot of faith into their leadership at all, and I think Microsoft stepping in was needed. Juice says Bungie CEO is a slime ball. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know much about him. And I mean, is this guy still there? Is this that Pete guy, that Pete Parsons? Is that the CEO? He might be. CEO of Bungie. Oh yeah, Pete Parsons. But it sounds like a lot of them got let go. Bungie president steps down. So Bungie studio president Harold Ryan stepped down in 2016. Announced longtime COO Pete Parsons will now take over as CEO. I wonder who all the execs that got let go. As you guys will see, and if you're not a member, another reason why you need to become a member is because we've been doing a lot of content with our members because the news has been light. And so instead of sitting there doing public shows where like 3.5 people might show up and fuck us up in the algorithm, we just kick it with the members when shit is ultra light. And one of the things that we were talking about in one of those member streams is we were blasting Ubisoft. We got our own thoughts. I mean, me and Cold Blood don't completely align, but I am in agreement that Ubisoft is very, very bad. And I think that they're doing more harm than good in their involvement around Star Wars Outlaws. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. We're going to talk about that in totality on Friday with the podcast. I got another video. Actually, the video that was supposed to come out today that you guys saw, I had to make last minute. That's why the show ran about 15-20 minutes late, because I was in the middle of making something else, and then this news broke. So I said, well, this news, there's no point in me putting that video out there. This news has to run through its course before, if I put another video out there, it's going to get any attention. And that's the news around all these previews with Star Wars Outlaws. I just don't think that the game is going to be at its potential that it could have been at. It's because the development time was very minimal, like 5 years for you to build a Star Wars universe where you're flying in the sky, you're going from planet to planet and all that other shit. That alone is daunting to do that in 5 years, right? But now you're doing it in 5 years, and you have all these other projects that you're doing as a studio. You got Division 2, the revamp of Division 2, and all that DLC and all this shit that you're dropping with Division 2, right? Then you got you had to consult on Heartlands that ended up getting canceled. Then you did Avatar. And now you're doing Star Wars Outlaws. All this was done within the 5-year development cycle of Outlaws. So it appears to me, and I've been watching video, there's jank in AI that you normally don't see in Massive Games. That's the developer of this. You don't see it. There's just a lack in gameplay depth that you don't even see in Avatar. Like it just seemed like that they were awarded just enough time to give you a bare bones Star Wars experience that felt like a Star Wars experience, but like VGC says, doesn't really do anything innovative. That doesn't settle right with me and doesn't sound like Massive to me, because Massive is always trying to experiment and do different shit. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't land. But yeah, I don't like that. And we got our thoughts on that. So that was going to be our video. That was going to come out today. And then this news dropped and I had to scrap it. Or I did not scrap it, but I had to set it to the side and get ready for today's news. Which again, I think it's cool. Cold Blood thinks it's cool as long as they're making something that is relative to single player narrative story that isn't like the games as a service bull crap that we're seeing with Concord. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But yeah, I heard a lot of stuff about Pete Parsons, people not liking Pete. You know what I mean? Let me see here. I'm trying to check my email. Didn't come through yet. God damn it. All right. Let's scour the internet and see what the internet is saying about this. Let's do a little something like this. Okay. Xbots. Somebody, Xbots is trending. That's funny. Let's see what they're saying about Xbots.
This shit is trending every other week, bro.
Empty framework is to blame.
These dumbasses can't keep their mouth shut for once.
Yeah. I guess this is J-Dub. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Series is discounted for a limited time. Yeah, you're not getting that. You're not getting that on there. That's a shame. I'm back from this. Is Xbox moved from consoles to cabin for Amazon Fire Sticks and Candy Crush moms and grannies. Never in a million years would I have imagined this is how it would end for y'all. Laugh out loud. Oh God. Xbox having a rough day. Xbox 360 marketplace is officially dead. Xbox servers currently down again. Last time this wasn't an issue was during the 7th gen. Poor little guys. Yeah, that to me, what is the most crazy thing about how, okay, Xbox owned networking and all this multimedia. They own this shit, right? And the only thing that the Xbox get, when you ask them, like, what innovative stuff has Xbox done? Like, Xbox was known for innovation. What innovative stuff has Xbox done since Phil Spencer took over? The only thing that they can tell you is quick resume. Well, ain't nobody doing no quick resume. Quick resume? You're telling me to make the innovators, not the makers, the innovators of broadband gaming, all this multimedia stuff on your console, throwing the hard drive in the console, the controller, the network security, all that stuff. Best you can come up with is quick resume. Meanwhile, PlayStation got the DualSense controller. They got the PlayStation Portal VR, even though it had its ups and downs, is now seeing what a 2,000% rise since they did a serious price drop. I mean, that I think when people say no, PlayStation would still dominate, and because people just hate Xbox, I think we can look at stuff like that has happened or not happened since Phil took over and said, no, this is the Phil Spencer thing. This is why things are like this. I just find it funny. Xbox think Mafia Definitive Edition coming to ass pass. God damn. Ass pass means Xbox is buying Take-Two. No, just getting sloppy seconds from February 2023. Is acquisitions all Xbox talk about and want from gaming? Oh, yeah. So is this a thing now, y'all, that because Mafia is coming to Game Pass a year after it came to PlayStation, that now that fucking Take-Two, like, what are we doing here? Jesus Christ. What are we doing here? Xbox don't play anime games. That's based off of Jazz's thing. Yeah, we talked about that too with the members, how Xbox era kind of handed Jazz an L again for his bombastic take on what's going on with the Capcom and SNK and all these other, remakes and shit like that, these AA games that are not coming to Xbox, and him throwing out there, oh, I heard that they're working on something, you know what I'm saying? And Xbox era, like, we ran this by our people, and I'm not gonna say publicly, meaning I'm not gonna embarrass Jazz like that publicly, but this is my subliminal shot to him. Cut it out. There's nothing to defend here. Like, cut this shit out. And then for Jazz only to come back later to where one of his comments were quoted at, as he said this on a podcast, for him to now then come clarify it after Xbox era called him out and said, nah, I never said all that. But what I'm saying now is, after further review, yeah, it's kind of like, in so many words, what Xbox era called me out on is true. I was just bloviating and making up shit like I normally do, because I'm not a journalist, I'm a blogger. And bloggers get to lie, right? I guess that's how it works. Cold blood, right? You're a blogger, you just get to make up anything you fucking want.
So we are bloggers too then.
Yeah, I guess we're bloggers too, man. Okay.
Yeah, so Xbox is the greatest.
And Jazz is the best?
Absolutely, bro. He is the most professional journalist out there.
Yes, absolutely. Xbox down bad, especially with yesterday's news. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Actually, what I might do is I'm going to try to do something different. At work, I'm going to record a video. Now, just so you guys are aware, the audio is not going to be the greatest. I'm going to record it. I've done this before. I'm going to record a video at work where I highlight, I was talking about this before we went live, and I'm making the members content because we didn't do early bird special today. So to drop members content for today, I'm going to try to do this at work. What am I going to try? Well, some Xbox people that I do like, even though I don't agree with them when it comes to gaming and their enthusiasm for Xbox still from the console perspective. I've had some interaction with them today. One person in particular that I haven't had interaction with in a while. And the befuddlement that this person showed as far as why Xbox is stepping away from console, the befuddlement that they had. I'm befuddled. I'm confused on why they're confused. And so they had responded back to me and said, well, I like competition. And if there's only one competitor, we're screwed. And I'm like, I like competition too. I think it makes everything better. But that doesn't mean that what's happening ain't happening. And so again, I just want to address, what is there to be confused about when it comes to Xbox? Like, why is this, where is the confusion at? They're putting, they told you at Summer Games Fest, unprompted. It was so unprompted and such a gut punch, if you're paying attention and not living in La La Land, that even Ryan McCaffrey looked like he was about to lose his lunch when Phil said this. What is it that I'm talking about? When being asked about the showcase and them getting all creamy knuckled over the showcase and how great the showcase was, Phil Spencer said, look, we know that some people don't like some of the shit we've been doing. Here's what I'm gonna fucking tell you. If you're an Xbox hardware owner, and I'm paraphrasing here, if you're an Xbox hardware owner, here are the promises only that we're making to you. You will get shit day and date via Game Pass. It's coming day and date via Game Pass. Now we know it's got to be like Game Pass Ultimate or PC. Well, no, when we're talking to the console gamers, it's got to be Game Pass Ultimate. That's the only tier that'll give you day and date. But as long as you have Game Pass Ultimate, you'll get day and date. So you're going to get day and date via Game Pass Ultimate. You're going to always get our games day and date if you have our hardware. You're always going to get access to them. And when you buy an Xbox/Windows version of a game, wherever Xbox/Windows versions of the game are applicable, you're gonna get cross entitlements. So for example, right now, while there's still a console out there, if I buy an Xbox Series X version of a game, when I play that game on the Xbox Series X, when I play it on the Series S, when I play it on an Xbox One if possible, or if I play it on PC, I'm going to get cross progression spread amongst all those platforms. Now, for instance, if I buy Sea of Thieves on Xbox and then I go buy Sea of Thieves on PlayStation, I may not necessarily get that cross progression. I might get it between Xbox and PlayStation, but I'm not getting it from PlayStation to PC. You see what I'm saying? That's it. Phil sat on that couch and said, here are the guarantee, and he ran them down. Cross entitlements between wherever Xbox/Windows games are at. You're always going to get access to our games if you have our hardware. And also, if you got Game Pass, you'll get access day and date to them through wherever Game Pass is at. He didn't make any promises in regards to exclusivity. None of that shit. None of that shit that is customary with the console experience. So I don't get where there's confusion. What are you confused about? I'm not saying it's right, but they've given it up. And every day that y'all sit there and y'all fight, oh, why are you doing this? Why do this? You're wasting your breath. They don't care anymore. Same person who I like was starting to, because they'll go into this whole back and forth chain with you. And I'll do it too. But they were starting their back and forth chain about why would they do that? They would lose out on this and that, and they would lose out on third-party sales, and they would have to give a cut to place. Because here's the thing. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it jiggy. As I like to refer back to the night, to the night. Let's keep it jiggy. Yes, I still say that. Xbox apparently has numbers that we don't have access to because they don't release their shit, right? We can only make guesstimates and piece shit together. Apparently, if they're like, look, we are going to do better by getting a bunch of 70% of our games over there versus 100% of our games over there. There must be so many sales over there that it nullifies the fact that they got to kick up 30%. You understand what I'm saying? Let me give you an example. Say you got a chance to you got a lemonade brand. Oh fuck. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. So the point that I was trying to make is that, say for instance, you have a lemonade brand, right? You have a lemonade brand that you want to sell. You created this mixture or whatever, and me and Cold Blood approach you. We're both massive distributors, and we both approach you with a deal, with an offer, just for you to sell your lemonade with us. Both of us only want, both of us only want you to sell your lemonade with us. I say, nah, you can only sell your lemonade with MM2K Industries. Cold Blood's like, no, you can only sell your lemonade with Cold Blood lemonade stands. So you got to make a choice. Say your lemonade is $1 a glass. So I tell you, look, I want you to just sell your lemonade with me, and you can keep all your profits. Every dollar that you make, you get to keep all of it. The only reason why I want you to sell your lemonade with me is because I'm going to put it in a combo with the sandwich that I sell, and your lemonade is that good, it's going to sell sandwiches for me. So you get to keep all your profits. And you're like, wow, that's great. But then Cold Blood says, nah, it's not going to work with me. See, me, I'm selling your lemonade out of a store that I own. So you got to give me 30% of every dollar that you make. So that means for every cup of lemonade that you sell that's worth $1, you're going to get 70 cents. I'm going to get 30. Now, at the initial look at both of our deals, you can say, well, you know what, MM? Your deal up front sounds like the best. But then you got to crunch the numbers. And this is where you guys get lost. You don't understand what the fuck is going on, which I understand. Your inability to apply simple problem solving behooves me. Because you got to crunch the numbers. In the deal that I propose, let's just say that I only sell 5 sandwiches a day. So even though you get to keep your full dollar with me, if you sign with me, you're maxing out at $5 a day. Where Cold Blood, he can sell 5,000 cups of your lemonade a day. We'll do the simple math. So even though you got to give up 30%, you're still making $3,500 a day with Cold Blood, where you're only making $5 with me. What does this got to do with Xbox going multi-plat and why they would give up their 30%. Apparently, sales on Xbox are so low. This is what you're not fathoming because you guys are still living in a fantasy land. Apparently, sales on Xbox are so low that it's worth giving up that 30% just to sell it on PlayStation. Just to sell it on PlayStation. It's worth giving up that 30% because there's so many more sales out there that when you look at the raw numbers, again, in that example that I just gave you, yeah, you can keep your dollar with me. I just want your lemonade to be present with my sandwich. On the surface, that sounds like a great deal. But if I'm only selling 5 sandwiches a day, but Cold Blood can guarantee you at least 5,000 glasses of lemonade will be sold a day, the percentages don't matter. And y'all get so caught up in percentages and y'all don't look at the raw numbers. It's sickening. There's nothing to be confused about. Apparently, Xbox sells so less out of its marketplace. And it's even worse now. Look at these fucking numbers. Like, hold on, Brad Sam's right here, who's far from a PlayStation enthusiast. He works for the Paul Thurrott think tank agency. They're all about Microsoft and him particular Xbox. Bit more gaming info, says Brad. Gaming revenue grew 44%, but 48% of that was ABK. That means there was a negative 4% impact when you look at legacy Xbox stuff. They lost money. They lost money. What does that tell you? Xbox ain't selling, son. It's not just the box. Software is not selling. Gaming revenue grew 44%, but 48%. Do you understand? The 48% from ABK alone is bigger than the 44% it grew altogether, which means there's a net negative 4% impact. Even if it was reversed, that's horrible, son. That's how bad Xbox is doing. Revenue declined again, quarter over quarter. It declined 42%. Oh no, this could be year over year, still bad. He continues, it would seem like Xbox didn't have a good quarter. Game Pass subs likely increased, but overall revenue was down and hardware sales are way down. So you guys want to talk about MAUs and BBLs?
Yes.
And BBCs?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Y'all want to talk about all these? You want to talk about all these initials? It doesn't mean shit if you're not making money. Let me repeat that secret one more time. All these BBLs and BBCs and MAU, they don't mean shit if you're not making money. Revenue is down. It's bad enough you can't just go off of revenue alone because you got to look at profit. At the end of the day, when everything's said and done, the last final notation is profit. But we can't even talk about profit because revenue is in the negative when you factor just Xbox. The only thing that's in the positive is ABK. Now, what's different with ABK stuff than legacy Xbox content?
On PlayStation.
Exactly. It's not a hard concept, y'all. Get the hell out of the BBLs and BBCs and all this. Get out of that. That doesn't matter. That's just,
you know where those 500 million come from? Candy Crush.
Probably, yeah.
They're capping for Candy Crush, brother. That's how low they got.
It's crazy out here, man. Brad Sams is telling y'all. He's an analyst that works for the Paul Thurrott think tank. They are the utmost experts on all things Microsoft. And in Brad Sam's case, Xbox. What are we doing here? They had got over 30 BBLs this past Thursday. They doing great. Net impact from Activision acquisition. Now I wonder where this slide came from. I don't know if this slide is nib or is this actually from Microsoft. Even if it is from nib is thorough in his work. But so let's look at this. The net impact from Activision is is $1.68 billion. But then when you go from operating expenses after the cost of the revenue, and then you look at the gross margin, and then you look at the operating expenses after you look at the gross margin, and you look at the operating income, which is the profit, you're in the negative. And I alluded to this when I told y'all sitting there talking about, interrupt this, interrupt that. No, because when you look at it at the end of the day, they're still losing money because they got to factor in how much they paid for this acquisition. You don't get to factor in the revenue if you don't factor in how much you paid for this shit. It don't work like that. You don't just get to sit there and say, oh, we made $1 billion. That company wasn't yours before. You had to shell out money in order to get this money. So what does that say? It says that the dead weight is the stuff that we had before ABK. It's dead weight. They don't want it anymore. That's why they're going out there and they're telling you, you don't need a console. Now, they had one little commercial that I saw on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, Cold Blood. They had one little fucking flimsy commercial on Twitter where they were talking about, yeah, Star Wars Outlaws is coming out of all fucking games. Star Wars Outlaws is coming out and you can play it on the Xbox with ray tracing. And they put the commercial on Twitter. Like, what the fuck?
Show them that Xbox Series X gameplay I sent you on Twitter.
This is crazy. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I don't even know if that's Series. You said that's Series X gameplay. I wonder if it's even that. Probably PC, but of all games, like they thought they could take advantage. Like they might have the marketing rights to this game, and they didn't want to say a peep until these previews came out. Now, yeah, and IGN is horrible. Like I would never have IGN show anything. Like they showed the other clips, which were horrendous, and this is bad because even though it looks better than the shit that they showed before, this looks horrible. Look at what the AI is doing. What is this? I think I saw this yesterday. I think a shot ricocheted off her chin and shit. What the fuck? This is god awful AI. That's horrible. But
it's been improved massive AI that you've been talking about.
It ain't applied here. You play around the Division 2, especially now, and see if the enemies are just going to be sitting there skateboarding to the side and they're going to stand right in front of you. Ain't no way. They don't even do that. They don't even do this in Avatar. Even though Avatar to me is not a fun experience, the AI and everything, the game plays the way that it's supposed to. It's just Avatar meets Far Cry is not entertaining. And I don't think it was the best use of Avatar. Like in a game like Avatar, I think it should have been third person. I think it should have been like an action game. You know what I'm saying? Where you're journeying through, I mean, you're still journeying the game, but I think it should have been a lot more diverse journeying than you see in the actual, than you could ever get out of a Far Cry. But yeah, that's insane to think like that we could count it. We can count the revenue, but we ain't got to count the expenses. True Virgil says, lying again, Moss. True Virgil is back. Good to see you, True Virgil. You cleaning up your tears? ABK is part of Microsoft Xbox, though. Why does everyone want to dismiss ABK from the revenue for? Because here's why. Because the reason why they keep breaking it apart is for this, what you see on the screen. Will Broke Boy Lewis, this is why they want to do it. Because they want to see if Microsoft paid a lot of money for ABK, the biggest deal ever, period, anywhere, the biggest deal anywhere ever. So in order for this deal to be lucrative, we got to get to a point to where you see where it says operating income. Yeah, the operating income, because that's how the investors get their, they get their cha-ching. When it's operating income, the higher it is, the more the greater their rate of return is. Because that's profit. The greater the rate of return is. So in order for that to happen, see, Activision Blizzard is doing fine on its own. But in order for this to be in the positive, then the legacy Xbox stuff has to be doing well too. So what's happening now is the legacy Xbox stuff, because it's in the negative, is dragging down ABK. It's dragging it down because instead of, ABK had what? Positive, when you look at the revenue year over year, ABK itself had 48% revenue, accounted for 48% revenue growth. But when you combined it with what Xbox is doing in totality, it drops down to 44%, which means that the legacy Xbox stuff is underperforming. Because legacy Xbox stuff is underperforming, it's affecting the bottom line. And as it continues to affect the bottom line, the more severe actions you're going to see out of Microsoft. They're going to start cutting more and more legacy Xbox stuff, specifically the console. And that's why people want to separate it, because they don't want you to be fooled by seeing, oh yeah, there's a 44% margin. Of that 44% margin, it's all Activision Blizzard. So investors are going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, whoa. You're telling me that you could have had 48% profit and we're only getting 44% profit because of this old shit that you had beforehand? And now look, we're not even making money because there's a net loss. There's a profit loss. This is a $570 million profit loss. You're holding back my money. I got to do something. And publicly traded companies have a fiduciary responsibility to do what they got to do to make money for their investors. Those are rules and regulations that come in the financial world and got nothing to do with us. So Will Broke Boy Lewis, people are rightfully segregating what Microsoft is doing versus what ABK is doing on its own, because we got to see what Microsoft's performance is and not be blinded by ABK alone, because investors are looking at that too. And if this is Microsoft's sheet, which I believe it is, that's why this would exist, because investors are like, okay, we understand ABK is bringing in a lot of money, that's great. That's why we're okay with you purchasing them. But if your product, if your product overall is dragging down that ABK growth, then we got a problem. You need to fix your legacy content or your legacy services. And that's what Microsoft is doing. They're moving away from the console. They're moving away from exclusivity. That's stuff that's impacting gamers. See, these are the tall tale signs of things happening. That's why me and Coldblood on the PlayStation side. That's why we were looking at sideways of what Horoki Totoki was doing. Because these type of numbers are going to impact how they deliver their product and their services to us. That's why I tell you all the time to understand business. Now, there are certain things on the business side, like, oh, the profit margins are only 5%. Like, when they get that, try to get that micro with it, they're just being overboard here. But when you make a $75 billion purchase and you're already seeing negative losses that impact their potential revenue growth, that's a bad sign. It's a very bad sign. That's why people are splitting it out, because they're trying to look behind the veil and see what's actually going on, because they want to see in advance, oh, how negatively is this going to impact the Xbox brand for the consumer? And if this trend continues, like if they can't get their legacy, and that's why they're putting Sea of Thieves and stuff like that on PlayStation, and that's what you're going to, and this definitely will tell you, for those folks that are still clinging on to, oh, it's only a few games that make sense. Now that they still have this net operating loss, they're probably looking at what they did with Sea of Thieves and said, well, damn, this could have been a lot worse if we had to put Sea of Thieves on there, or significantly worse. We got to start putting a whole slate on there on PlayStation. You see what I'm saying? So stuff like this helps you see in advance some of these more critical decisions that are being made. Now, again, sometimes people try to play financial advisor, and they try to, oh yeah, Sony stock went under 50.4 before 4 p.m. They're being too far out in the weeds with it, and they're trying to make shit up. But here, right here, a $75 billion purchase, and you still have an operating income loss, that's got to change around. It's bad right now, but it becomes more critical after the first year the company is absolved. Because after the first year that the company is absolved, you're not even going to be able to brag, oh, we had 44% revenue growth. You're not even going to have to say that, because you're now comparing the year that you purchased them to the year after. So there is not going to be these big leaps in revenue growth anymore, because it's going to be customary. So now you're going to start seeing, instead of revenue growth of 44%, you're going to start seeing revenue loss of -4. All this shit is going to be negative. It's not just going to be this one specific sheet. So Microsoft got a year, or less than a year now. They got, 9 months to get this together, to get it to where it's still on a positive, and hopefully double-digit positive for a lot of this stuff, like PlayStation, like Nintendo. And if they can't do that, then they're going to be at a huge risk, and people are going to look at Microsoft and say, okay, this is dragging you down. What are you going to do with this business? So then bigger decisions are going to be made. So that's why people are segregating the two when they're looking at it, because the investors are doing it, right? And it's going to have an impact on decisions made for the brand. So. All right, folks, let's see. We got the poll here. We're going to end it right here. We got 11 votes with the poll. 82%. When we asked, opposite of the layoffs, do you see the Bungie news as positive or negative for Sony? 81% said it's positive. 9% said it's negative. And another 9% said it's neither. So. Yeah, I'm aligned with how this poll is aligned. All right. we're gonna get out of here, y'all. We appreciate it. I will be back with Early Bird special tomorrow. We're gonna have another video tomorrow. The Star Wars video will be out tomorrow. And for Friday's video, well, we can talk about that tomorrow. So that's Early Bird special is going to be like around 8:30 tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. We usually run that for about an hour, and then Cold Blood and I will be back tomorrow afternoon for another member stream. Either a member stream, or if there's no news happening, we'll do some more First to Send It. Samuel Walton says, I see it as a good thing. Bungie's management was horrible. I totally agree. All right, y'all, we're going to get out of here. I got to get ready for work, but I appreciate everybody for coming through. Thank you so much. Big Bungie shakeup. Horoki Totoki came in and said, no. He said, no. And shut that shit down and made some efficiencies, it looks like. And even more, he saved jobs. He saved jobs where it looks like Bungie was trying to throw people under the bus. But I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much. We all do. For Cold Blood and I, we are out. Till tomorrow. Have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.